Hi, everyone. Oh boy, it's the second day of 2024. Yeah, and how are you all? I feel like everything is collapsing. I don't feel quite right out in the world. For sure, in my life, every day I am dealing with more and more collapse. And it's so much fun. Not at all. It's actually very painful. Yeah. Do I bring that up for, oh, I'm playing my little violin and I want sympathy? No, because sympathy, especially in the cyber world, does nothing for me. Does nothing for me. So, I bring it up because I'm not alone. I am not alone. And you know what? We need to be able to express ourselves. And that is a very hard thing for Americans to do because there's so much judgment that comes along with it. So my neighbor had her 82nd birthday today, and I went over, and she was telling me there are wars going on in this development, people warring against one another. The landlord that gets the lot rents, he apparently is jacking up the electric for people. Pretty huge. That ain't right. That ain't right. You know, the third cat that came, and I named him Bookend because he looks so much like Little One. There is an owner of that cat. But that owner went to Florida for 2 months and left the cat behind. So I've been taking care of this cat thinking that, well, I did think it was left behind. I got the cat neutered and she came back from Florida and it's her cat. But what I failed to understand is that I had a long conversation with the owner of this development, and I told him about this black cat that suddenly showed up, and I asked him if he knew if anybody, if he was anybody's cat, and he said no. What do I hear today? I hear that he was asked by the owner to feed the cat, but he never told me that actually the woman, I don't understand basic communication anymore. It's gone. I could go on and on telling you just daily experiences of my experiences in a place where I don't even know anyone. I don't talk to anyone except for, the birthday girl. That's the only one I speak to, and it's about 15 minutes. I'll go over and have, some coffee with her, and that's about it. I am amazed, and she too is pretty shocked at how people are behaving. So things are not okay, and I sure do hope that regardless of how much effort you have to put in to maintaining, I want to say normal behavior, but what the hell is that? Maintaining standards that we used to have when we interact with one another. I wonder if that's even possible. So, hello, Lindy London, TFL Award, Kenosis, Analog Synth Player. Okay, to Eagle Flown South. I can almost guarantee that I get comments on a daily basis, at least one, with people, please fix the volume. I love your videos, but it's frustrating when all the clips are loud as F, but I can't hear what you are saying. Okay. Well, I want to ask everybody else, can you hear what I am saying? Because I haven't seen that in the chat in a while. And I have told you the volume issues are very difficult to deal with, because I have to keep my videos that I'm playing. There's no like equalizer anymore for me. I have to keep them so low I can't hardly hear them. Okay? So, is everybody having difficulty hearing me? So, who can't hear what I'm saying? I'd like to find out. Because if you can't hear what I'm saying, I have my volume, my mic, all the way up. And if you can't hear what I'm saying, then I'll just continue until I just can't anymore. And that's coming up soon. You know, I'm very frustrated with people leaving these comments when I have said over and over and over again, this is YouTube. It's not me. And it's interesting because I didn't have these problems when I first started doing lives. Months and months. And then suddenly, and I've heard it actually, I'll play back my live streams and I'm like, how could it possibly be that loud when I keep it so incredibly low that I'm actually having to kneel in, or lean in to hear the video myself. So, please fix the volume on your own devices, whatever they may be. Darren, James, Spencer, hello. Andrew Cruz, Haskasan, Barb in Ohio, Silent Walk, Question Everything, Michael Mossberg, Will, Leslie, Mary, Mac, and Donna Davidson, and Rage Against the Machine, Killer Drums, Atena, hi. Loud and clear, no volume issues. Atena says, I can hear you. You're coming in clearly. Cynthia Johnston, who I want to thank you very, very much for moderating. Marty said that she was going to be about 30 minutes late, and Sherry's not going to make it tonight. Hello, Taylor Noose and Cecilia Wonders. Hi. Yeah, so many have no thought for others. Consideration, let's just say that has become obsolete. Obsolete. Oh, and again today, no heat. No heat. Different problem. Fortunately, it was fixed. Thank you. Thank you. Because I was getting really nervous. Because it gets cold at night here. It's even cold now, but the sun is going down. And it was a wee bit chilly today. But, and there was an outlet that stopped working, and I'm like, it's problem after problem after problem after problem. So that's why I said it may take a lot of effort when you're interacting with people, that you don't take out on them the frustrations or stress that you're feeling. And it does take a lot of effort to do that. And years ago, with one particular friend, I was not good at. In fact, with all of my problems with subscribers, she's the only one that can say a whole lot. But so can I, so we both can. Yeah, it's an incredible time. I've never, ever experienced life like I've been experiencing for years, only getting worse and worse and worse. So, does it take effort? You betcha. I try. I do my best. Sometimes it's not great. Sometimes I'm like, okay, that was you're doing it, but yeah, it's very difficult. Oof. So, let's see who else. Did I get everybody? Silent Walk, hello. Yeah, I'm even hearing the volume issues on mainstream media. You know, when they're in the studio talking, and then when they cut to somebody in the field and it's much louder. Well, I turned down the volume. Little Wing 6 was 9, hello. Seek and you shall find Amber Eyes, hi. Super Painting 62, hello. Schnambles, Julie, no problem hearing. Okay, good. I can hear you loud and clear. So one person has difficulty hearing. It may be their device, but stop blaming people. We're in the cyber world, and it's getting really screwed up. Penny Red, hi. So if I've missed anyone, I apologize. And Cynthia Johnston, I just want to really thank you for showing up. Thank you. So, a lot of crazy things. Oh, the other thing, my computer went down. When I was all set up, I had all my information, all my pages, all my windows, and it went down. So, some of the dogs are playing. I love seeing happy dogs. I had to very quickly just go through history and try to patch it back, and it might be a little disorganized, which I apologize for in advance, but yeah, why don't we just do it? So, it's eyes on Poland and the skies. Some weird sheet going on in the skies.
What is going on in the sky? Every single day this week, there's been crazy things going on in the freaking sky, and no one's even talking about it. They want you looking at your cell phones so you can't see what's going on. Like that movie, Don't Look Up, that's literally what we're living in. And this is just the first of many I'm going to show you. And this was last night, I believe, yesterday. What is that? Notice how similar the color with this one is. This one was also filmed yesterday night. But they'll try to tell you it's normal. Yeah. In the UK, these things just start popping up in the sky. I'm sure someone's gonna try to rationalize it, right? Seen by multiple people. Maybe things like this is why the Bible says look to the sky. And this just happened over Poland. That reminds me of something. Remember the cloud that was over Turkey and then disaster? Then the cloud that was over Brazil, then disaster? Wonder what it means. Remember, it's over Poland. And I just showed y'all this one a few days ago. This happened right after Christmas. All of these are happening at the same freaking time. The same time. And that stuff going around it is fire. I showed you in the other video. It's literal fire going around. It's like a portal.
Authorities are trying to figure out exactly what this mysterious object was seen ripping through.
Things are even going to get stranger. You know that, right? You should know that. Things are going to get so strange that it's going to be very hard to listen to people who have been denying what's happening in the sky, and then we're listening to all of those people. And yeah, if you get really frustrated with them, the best thing you can do is just turn your head and roll your eyes. Don't bother. Is it CERN? Is it HARP? It can be. We don't know exactly what is creating all of this. They have so much technology, and it's in use. So, we can speculate all day long. And here, so massive police mobilization underway in Miami at Bayside Marketplace.
Esta es una llamada a todas las unidades de la ciudad de Miami. Esto es en Bayside ahora. ¿Qué hora es? ¿Qué hora es? ¿Qué hora es?
That is pretty massive, and I didn't have a chance to do some digging into what was going on in Miami, but if anybody knows, please leave a comment in the chat. A whole lot is going on every single day, and another EV catches on fire and blows up. Thank God people are pushing EVs. Those lithium batteries. And what else? What else do we have here? Come on, article. What are you doing to me? Major emergency response as 3 booms and shakes are felt on New York's Roosevelt Island. Hello? Well, thank you very much. What's the problem here? Okay. I've been having a lot of problems with my computer. Firefighters are urgently trying to find the source as they probe manhole fires. So there were manhole fires, apparently. Roosevelt Island. Huh. Well, let's see. Breaking. Officials now state that a minor 1.7 magnitude earthquake is thought to have awakened residents in Roosevelt Island and Queens, causing a series of small explosions that resulted in a power outage on Tuesday morning. Get used to this. Oh, yeah. And Japan. Okay, so the earthquake, right? Massive earthquake, so much destruction. You know what that looks like to me? I bet a lot of you know what that looks like, right? Look at this. Tens of thousands are without home, without a home. just so friggin' heartbreaking. Okay, so the day after the earthquake, this happens.
That we can see on the screen there. The plane that we can see is a Japanese airline plane that has landed on the runway at Tokyo's Haneda Airport. Firstly, all 379 plus passengers and crew on board this A350 have been evacuated from that Japanese airline plane. And we now know that this fire that we can see there as it's coming down the runway is as a result of two planes colliding when this plane landed. The Japan Coast Guard says its plane, MA722, a Bombardier Dash 8 aircraft, collided with this Japan Airlines flight. And we can now tell you that the state broadcaster NHK is now reporting that 5 out of the 6 crew on board have now died. The captain on board of that Coast Guard plane did manage to escape, and the Coast Guard plane was on its way to Niigata Airport to deliver earthquake aid, of course, just one day after a 7.6 magnitude earthquake hit the west coast of Japan. To give you some more details, a Japanese airline spokesperson says the aircraft in flames there, as we can see extensive damage right into the interior of that aircraft, is Flight 516. It was flying from Shin Chitose Airport on Hokkaido Island to Haneda, and Japan Airlines says all on board managed to escape without life-threatening injury, including 8 children. And we can see extensive damage there. Firefighters, of course, continuing to try to extinguish the flames. We had live earlier the entire rear portion of the aircraft collapsed onto the runway. We have also seen social media footage from inside the plane showing orange flames from inside the plane window. There we go there, out of the left portion of the aircraft, and the smoke inside the cabin as well as it's come out of the runway. We're now also hearing some testimony from passengers. One passenger said, "I felt a boom like we had hit something and jerked upward the moment we landed." This was a passenger on the JAL flight, which told Kyodo News Agency, "I saw sparks outside the window and smoke filled with, and the cabin, filled with gas and smoke." But live pictures there now, you can see water.
I'd like to know how that happens. How does that happen? How could it possibly happen? You have a jet airliner with a whole lot of passengers coming in for landing, and it collides with a Coast Guard aircraft. Was that Coast Guard aircraft just sitting on the runway? How does that happen? Because you have people who are watching, making sure the runway is clear. How does that possibly happen? And the Coast Guard aircraft was delivering aid to the earthquake victims. Okay. Wow. Strange things taking place. Japan Airlines jet bursts into flames after collision with earthquake relief plane. Breaking. A magnitude 2.3 earthquake has occurred outside of Washington, D.C., with the epicenter taking place near Rockville, Maryland. Multiple reports in the area have felt the shake. D.C. doesn't have any active fault lines. What is going on? Well, they've ripped apart the planet with the HARP and HARP-like facilities and CERN and everything. Suspect in New York, New Year's, New York, crash in upstate Rochester. The crash, no links to terrorism. So there was a mighty big crash. A 35-year-old suspect who plowed an SUV full of gasoline canisters into a crowd of New Year's Eve revelers outside a concert in upstate New York died overnight. Authorities have not identified a motive or any link to terrorism that could have prompted the suspect, Michael Avery, to carry out the attack that killed 2 people and injured 9 early on Monday. Conversations with his family suggested he might have had undiagnosed mental health issues. Oh, really? Oh, undiagnosed. When you see something like that, know that an awful lot of people are going to be diagnosed. The FBI and Rochester police investigated a car crash that occurred at 12:50 a.m. in Rochester, New York, New Year's Eve. I don't understand why articles now. This must be AI or something that they repeat. They just repeat the facts. Anyway, after one of the vehicles involved was found to have at least a dozen cans of gasoline inside it. But is it this article or another article that I read on this where they stated that this guy had driven to the airport and rented the car that he crashed. Okay, what's that about? And interesting, the car is completely burned up, but the canisters, the gas canisters, some have evidence of being burned, but these are plastic canisters, or maybe some of them are the metal cans, I don't know. But everything is just weird. And unfortunately, weird in a kind of violent, destructive weird. Attempted kidnapping thwarted at Florida Walmart. Be very, very careful of your children, of your grandchildren, of your great-grandchildren. Because Walmart in particular, but just being out on the street, a whole lot are trying to kidnap children. And this guy's name was Pablo Hernandez. You have to wonder, it's very difficult here in the melting pot to determine whether or not somebody's an illegal immigrant or a citizen. But, there's a lot of money to be made kidnapping children. Student loan borrowers stage massive student debt strike. 3 months since the federal government resumed student loan payments, many borrowers have refused to pay a single penny. Activists say this is not a temporary lapse, but a massive student debt strike as borrowers await any progress on the White House student loan forgiveness program. Oh. Did Biden betray you? Faced with the impossible choice of feeding their kids, keeping a roof over their head, or throwing an average of $400 a month into the Department of Education incinerator, borrowers are rightly choosing to keep themselves and their families financially afloat. Well, why are people paying taxes? Yeah. U.S. manufacturing sector slump accelerates. Orders down, prices are up. But the economy is doing beautifully. Economist predicts 2024 will bring biggest crash of our lifetime to U.S. markets. I hope you're all prepared because everything is accelerating. I can already feel it, and we're only 2 days into 2024. All right, I'm going to play this video. Based on what I have seen in this video, it seems our military are quarantining off areas where there are zombies. It doesn't appear to be an exercise. Can't verify it, but life.
You want to ask me a
All right,
question
now
first?
we're recording. So, all right. Because I am Specialist Guy Malinsky, Washington National Guard. This is Specialist Woolman, Washington National Guard. And what are we doing here, Specialist Woolman?
Well, as you see, we have a couple lanes up here. We've had some zombie activity in these derelict buildings in this little Salem, little country town. We're just trying to clear it out, trying to keep everybody safe. We haven't had any casualties come through just yet, but we have had some gunshots in these surrounding buildings.
Well, why don't we take a walk down there and see? So,
Yeah.
so how common are these things?
Well, we're thinning out the herd slightly, but it's still a really menacing threat.
Yeah, people don't know that it's actually a biological threat, not a chemical or radiological, like people are meant to know.
That's a super common misconception, but biological as it is, it's like a rash, per se. It's something in the environment that you just have to deal with. Or doing the best we really can.
It springs up, I think in America it springs out fairly commonly. I'd say once every 3 months somewhere in America. All right.
Now, you see this big building right here?
Yeah.
We already cleared this one out about 2 hours ago. But we still hear noises, we still hear some scraping around in there. We think there might be a couple little things still going on. But we're going to send another sweep through there, and I just said we're right now set up for any possible contamination.
All right, and the point of this right now is to decon any of our guys or any civilians that are caught.
Absolutely. Anything from a slight blood splatter to a full-on bite or a penetrating wound.
But in fact, not everyone who gets bitten transforms. I know there's a lot of misconception with all the movies and stuff going on. You know, fairly common. You see these guys just laughing. I mean, it's a pretty safe thing. A full-blown epidemic is pretty much not likely to happen. You have to have a predispositioned ability to get turned into one.
Absolutely. Not only that, but it's a bite that really kills you. You already have the strand available in your stream to turn into this zombie or this flesh eater or this. Biggest misconception is that they don't go for the brain. A lot of TV shows put that out that they eat brain, but no.
But nevertheless, we take this quite seriously.
Absolutely.
It's a huge operation we have going right now. We liaison with several different guard agencies and even the Homeland Response.
Yeah, so you can see their major vehicle is just on the other side of this tent. We got to get to a better vantage point to really.
All right, let's take a walk.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah, just watch your step. Watch your step.
Of course. I mean, we don't really choose the areas these things happen at. You know, we got the best option, best place where to do it.
Yeah, you notice how it's basically a backyard, but you got to do what you got to do, or what you have. And around this corner, nice fresh mud. Actually, does slow down the zombie herd.
That just turned out to be advantageous. Right now we're being by the generators, so we probably won't be able to hear much. We got a huge generator farm factory set up. Stretchers, any wounded.
Now these mobile stations up here are the Homeland Defense. They're fairly well organized and they're really the first responders. You see another one of our derelict buildings. Yet to be cleared out, but we haven't heard a whole lot of activity from it. It's one of our next major hotspots to hit.
We have MPs around the whole area containing the situation so it doesn't spread.
A perimeter is super important in a situation like this. We control what's going on the site, but we have to control what's going on around the site as well.
That we do. And we have a...
Now take a look at this building again.
All right.
Right there, right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I saw
So-
some movement up in the upper building, just making a tunnel sweep through. Yeah, you see the shadows playing in there. There's definitely somebody walking around in there, trying to take care of business, clean up the mess. That's another thing. You don't want wild animals eating this stuff.
No, it's seldom they turn to zombies because it's mostly a human strain, I guess. But
Yeah, it's more of the zombies carrying it, or more of the animals carrying it to another person, biting a person, kind of like rabies, but more human selective.
right. And the person...
All right, I'm going to link below, and you might have listened to half of that. So click on the link, listen to the full video. Most of what is going on in life now, it's hard to figure out, but there's an awful lot of ways in which they can bring about a zombie apocalypse. They can bring about an awful lot of crazy behavior in a whole lot of people, because a whole lot of people do not know who they are. They don't know who they are. So they're so easily manipulated, subtly changed by external forces operating internally. That's where we're at. Messing up a whole lot of people's lives. All right, what is this? Oh, The View. I mean, who could possibly listen to The View? But when you listen, especially to those on the left, they think destroying democracy, and sabotaging elections is actually saving democracy. It's very strange.
David Axelrod, these are Democrats, leading Democrats, that say this would really cause a division that's almost insurmountable. And as someone that believes January 6th was that bad, wait one second.
So what are you saying?
Wait, just 1 second. I don't think the Supreme Court's going to hold this. I think they're going to overturn it, and it won't just be the originalists. I bet it's a 9-0 vote. I actually don't think they will hold this.
So you think they should leave it to the voters or not?
I think they should leave it to the voters, but I think the division this will cause, because what will happen is that martyrdom will be one step more. We have a nation that doesn't believe in democracy, doesn't believe in the voting. Everyone that loses says it was rigged and failed. I think this will create a visual to people that this was a rigged election by doing it. I do.
I think that the law will stand, and people should follow the law.
If that is the law,
Joy Behar. When that woman said, leave it to the voters, Joy Behar, did you hear her say, oh no, can't leave it to the voters. We're not even a democracy. But I guess we are now. We are a tyrannical democracy. MAGA prophet predicts overthrow of U.S. government. Now we have MAGA prophets. Wow. Pastor Julie Green, a self-proclaimed prophet, known for her allegiance to the MAGA movement, has predicted an overthrow of the U.S. government. Green, who frequently shares messages she claims are sent from God on her Julie Green Ministries international streaming channels, has a history of controversial prophecies that have not come true. Her past predictions range from the death of Nancy Pelosi before the 2022 midterms to the collapse of legal indictments against Trump. Here's Julie Green.
My children, the time has come. A time that you have been waiting for. A reinstatement. A shift of power. A new government in control. An overthrow and a takeover in this nation from the hands of the wicked to the hands of the righteous. The fall has come. The time is drawing near. A coup is about to be disrupted and annihilated, and everyone a part of it exposed and removed. So, my children, hold on. 2024 will start out with a bang. So brace for a mighty impact coming to shake you loose from the chains that bind you. It will look worse, but remember my words. This means your enemy's days are running out.
I'm full of hope now. My children, is she speaking God's words? I guess she must be, because why would she say my children? But I find it interesting that God is getting involved in politics. God is getting involved in politics. But an awful lot of Christians, when Trump came along, they believed God chose Trump. They did. All right. Look where it got us. And German socialists, SPD, want to ban AFD from Germany. AFD is the last chance for Germans to save Germany. This is what Western countries are doing now. Just banning parties outright. And it wasn't too long ago, certainly in Germany, where that kind of stuff was taking place, and it shouldn't be taking place now, but that's what's going on here. You know, ban Trump from the ballot. I'm not a Trump. Any of you who have been with me for years, you know, I didn't even check to see if my playlists are still on Never Lose Truth. If they are, I have a Trump playlist on Never Lose Truth. It doesn't matter what he says. It really matters what he does and what he did. So, this isn't even democracy. This is full-out tyranny. Banning parties, banning individuals from the ballot. It's so obvious. Why aren't people screaming about it? I guess they want the tyranny. Baptism by friar. North Carolina pastor arrested for allegedly assaulting a McDonald's cook who disrespected his wife. Okay. Well, 57-year-old Dwayne Waden allegedly placed his hands around the cook's neck, then pushed the cook toward the deep fryer and punched him in the face. December 28th. That doesn't sound very godly. Over 200 service members demand Biden's military leadership be court-martialed. Yeah, and fired for for that. Okay. Well, I don't see that happening. Harvard President Claudine Gay hit with 6 new charges of plagiarism. Half her scholarly work plagiarized. She's still the president. Wow. Now, a whole lot of people are claiming that, you know, they can't fire her because of the color of her skin. You want to talk racism? That's what racism is. However, we do have a white president who is known for his plagiarism. Oh, he's in the White House. And boy, UK church replaces husband and wife with more inclusive terms. When you see this, you know we are so far gone. Methodist Church in the UK issued an inclusive language guide advising followers to refrain from using terms such as husband, wife, brother, and sister. Sister. Reasoning that some people might find them hurtful. You ready to scream? My God. Everybody should just no longer go to that church. Right? Right. Will they still waddle in? Probably. And here, I'm going to play this again, just so that you all get that 2024, it's going to be a bang.
Did want to ask you about something you've also been writing about recently, which is election simulations. I think this coming year is going to be so crazy with regards to elections, all the information that's out there. And one thing you've talked about, which I love and repeat on my shows, is we shouldn't have a political savior. And we seem to ping pong back and forth between red and blue and red and blue. And everything for the average person just seems to get harder and they get poorer. So what can you share about the upcoming election and these simulations?
Okay, so actually, it's not new reporting. It's I did a series on this company that was doing very weird election simulations in the beginning of 2020, specifically a company called Cybereason. Yeah, and in that same year, I was also writing about another company that's sort of gotten tied up in this called CTI League that recently has gotten some coverage from Michael Schellenberger and Matt Taibbi as part of the whole censorship discussion. But they obviously, as I've been noting, and as I noted in my reports on them from 2020, have been a lot involved in a lot more than that. So basically, this company called Cybereason was conducting unusual, I would say, simulations with the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, and law enforcement in the U.S. They're not a company founded by Americans, by the way. They're all like veterans and still active, more or less, of Israeli intelligence services. And they basically conducted these simulations of what types of hacks and events, cyber attacks, could trigger the cancellation of a U.S. presidential election and the declaration of martial law. And so there's been some people that have been concerned that they made that, seems like something that might happen next election cycle. I don't really know. I do know that it's very likely there's going to be some sort of cyber 9/11 style event next year. And that's unsettling. It is a U.S. presidential election year next year, but it's also a presidential election year in about half of the countries of the world. So I'm sure next year is going to be much more turbulent than this year was in terms of stuff on that scale. And then you have these groups like one of the top guys at the World Economic Forum saying a massive cyber attack is going to come before January 2025, which of course we're in December 2023. That implies it's going to be in 2024. And this is the same group that during COVID was like, well, just wait for the cyber pandemic and it's going to be worse than COVID and all of this stuff. So, which, by the way, the World Economic Forum has a partnership against cybercrime that I've talked a lot, including at the Bitcoin conference earlier this year in May.
And on our show, yeah.
And here as well. It's run by a career Israeli intelligence guy named Tal Goldstein. It's very tied up with the biggest banks in the world, including some of the too big to fail banks from the U.S., Bank of America, and intelligence agencies of the U.S., UK, and Israel. That have these explicit plans to end both online and financial anonymity online, and specifically attack crypto as a terror financing tool, which has been circulated in mainstream media and then debunked, but it still creates the impression specifically that Bitcoin is the money of terrorists. And this is an overt effort to criminalize even further the use of mixers. So of course you have people that have created mixers that have gotten in legal trouble, but the goal is to have anyone that uses a mixer get in legal trouble, which is a significant escalation. And we're seeing efforts worldwide to end the use of encryption by individuals. All of this is very significant, and there's a reason they're criminalizing Bitcoin specifically for that. And this is part of this broader effort we spoke about earlier to co-opt Bitcoin. And they want to use this national security justification to take that as far as they can take it.
2024. Martial law, canceling of elections. Remember what Biden said soon after he took the Oval Office in the White House. He was asked by a reporter, and that whole interaction was, or exchange, was orchestrated. The reporter, he's just been, took the oath of office, asked if he's going to run in 2024. And part of his answer was, we don't even know if there's going to be a Republican Party in 2024. We're in for it. Big time. And reclaim your brain. Why it's time to stop scrolling our lives away. Yay, let's be honest, many of us are unhappy with the excessive time we spend on our phones. We're here to help with a brand new series and newsletter. They're here to help you. I'm unhappy. I feel addicted. My ability to concentrate seems to have vanished. I can't just sit and be anymore. I automatically reach for my phone if there is a moment of downtime. My brain struggles to settle or focus on any period of time. It's the first thing I reach for in the morning, the last thing I use at night. I think it's affecting my ability to be fully with people. Even when I'm looking at it, I can feel it tugging away at the back of my mind. Well, a whole lot of people have been, for sure, brought to a state of disconnection with one another due to the internet. But now, it's hard to find connection anywhere. Anywhere. So, you're left with this screen. A whole lot of people say, go out in nature. For some of us, it's really hard to just ignore all of the death of nature. There's a lot wrong with the world. A whole lot wrong. If you have a stable life, and you've had a stable life for a long time, and you have familiarity around you, you are in so much better shape than a whole lot who have been destabilized for whatever reason. Like, well, the weather, taking out people's homes. Very, very difficult, especially with what's going on today. That's why we need to retain our humanity. We need to, strengthen it. We need to help people. And South Dakota Doomsday City built underground.
Meet you. How you doing? Mark. Hey, Mark. I'm Brian. Nice to meet you.
We met up with Tom Dundas and his neighbor Mark at a gas station in the middle of rural South Dakota, and we followed them on a long drive through the country to Vivos X Point, a community that feels like it's at the end of the earth, and that's by design. We go through several security gates of the old Army base, and then you spot all the mounds in the ground. Bombs used to be stored in these bunkers during World War II. Now people live here. I was looking at the brochure. It says nuclear, pandemic, terrorism, asteroid, supervolcano, tsunami, solar flare. I mean, there's a lot of things out there
That you could be worried about. I think the biggest thing is you go to big towns and the amount of crime and everything that goes on, you're really not safe anymore. The amount of population that's out there, I think, is a big deterrent for a lot of people.
They don't really like the name preppers out here or doomsday, but they're getting ready in case something really, really bad happens. The community is built to be totally self-sufficient. There's 533 of these bunkers out here, and I'm told about 200 have sold so far. Sales have been picking up. They're selling about 6 or 7 every single month. The cost is $55,000. That's just for the bunker. Then you have to build out the inside. And it's a massive area out here, about 7,000 acres.
We have a lot of ex-military. We have an awful lot of ex-law enforcement. We've got people that are teachers, that are telecommuters. There's people that, you have to have Starlink out here. It's the only internet you have, but it works very, very well. So people live out here and they telecommute and do their jobs right out of their bunkers. So some people are interested in moving up here. Other people are interested in having a place to bug out to if that's what they want.
So this is one of these bunkers that's been built out. It's a little loud outside because they've got the generator going, but these bomb-blasted doors are on the front, which are really heavy and kind of difficult to open. And once you've got that open, you come inside. There's another very, very secure door. The electrical room is right here. There's some storage on the other side. You'd never know, but the inside is actually quite nice. Almost kind of feels like a fancy college apartment or something like that. There's no light that comes in from the outside, really, so that part might feel a little claustrophobic, but it's actually quite open and airy.
These are a few of the rooms.
There's several bedrooms, bathrooms, a media room, extra fuel, and a gun safe.
This actually is set up with a blast valve, so if there's a blast outside, it would equalize. That's part of that system that's up there. That's the blast valves on top.
California businessman Robert Vecino bought the old Army base in 2016, and he's been selling the bunkers ever since. He says people will have to take matters into their own hands during a doomsday event.
The government will never tell you anything bad that it doesn't claim to have a solution for. If I told you we're going to get hit by an asteroid tomorrow and it's going to take out half the world, you'd flip out. Your entire audience would go out in the street screaming right now.
Vecino has bunkers around the country he says can comfortably house 5,000 people. He encourages members of his community to stockpile a year's worth of food and fuel and prioritize security.
They're gonna stand their ground. Nobody's gonna be waltzing in and saying, I want what you got. It's not gonna happen.
Do you think it could ever get to the point where you would want to move out there permanently just because of everything going on in the cities?
Maybe. It depends how bad things got.
Philippe Briggs is a military veteran and retired police officer. He owns a bunker here and is concerned about crime getting out of control in big cities.
And people just realize in the big cities now that it's just not a safe place to be anyway. You don't have enough cops, realistically, in these big cities. They're overpopulated.
Most of the residents at Vivos didn't want to be on TV, but told me off camera it's crime and overpopulation they're most worried about. Since COVID and the wars in Ukraine and Israel, the bunkers are in even higher demand.
Right now, all of F section is sold. All of this E section is sold. We're in the process of going through and selling this.
And it's interesting, Leland, they don't just let anyone buy a bunker. You have to be vetted. They want you to have a certain skill that you can add to the community, and they want people who they say are like-minded.
Yeah, I said they.
All right, so contact them if you have a certain skill. Yeah, a whole lot of people, I guess, really want to survive what is coming. But what is coming, I don't even think these bunkers are going to protect them from the technology that they have. If they have technology that can create earthquakes, they can create earthquakes right there. That's just one example. So, yeah. Well, our lovely, lovely child trafficking, illegal migration, border crossing, it's nonstop.
This is insane, guys. Check this out. Not worried about seat belts, not worried about anything else. They're all children. They're all children. Look at these kids coming out of this. We don't follow laws around here. Seat belts, look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 21 people. 21 people. 21 people. Who's that little kid?
Y'all aren't gonna ticket them? That's illegal as fuck.
21 people.
Hey, those kids are they're not tied up, sir.
21 people. 21 children just climbed out of this itty bitty. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Identify yourself, sir.
The migrants do seem to be getting away with doing illegal things.
Más que nada, no les quiten nada. Porque después de que salgan aquí, nos van a echar a la calle a todos.
Look at this guy.
Ellos no quieren. Oh, dude got an ankle monitor. Ellos no quieren que nosotros les hablemos y les estemos diciendo lo que están haciendo ellos aquí.
So does she. They all are. So does she.
They all got ankle monitors.
What the hell? They all have ankle
they
monitors.
They were just dropped off by a dude in a truck.
They
all got ankle monitors.
They're beeping. Somebody's out of their region. What the hell, guys? Seriously? You feel morally okay with what you're doing to our own country, and you hide it with a whole bunch of kids? Where are these kids going? Where are these children going? Yeah, it's funny, right? It's funny to you. It's funny. It's a joke.
All dropped off with ankle monitors by unknown.
And a whole bunch of children, hidden by a whole bunch of children.
SAPD.
Where are these kids going?
The truck dropped them off. There were all of these people, all of these kids.
Unbelievable. Ankle monitor after ankle monitor after ankle monitor after ankle monitor after ankle monitor. And then a whole bunch of babies, all of them under the age of 10. You got an infant.
It is pretty much in our face now what is taking place. In New York City, illegal immigrants are lined up for blocks to receive free taxpayer-funded housing.
The concern is that people are coming in faster than we've normally seen. It's yet to be seen how much that will cost. What I can tell you is that the crisis up to this point has cost $3 billion. And as more people come, the cost continues to go up. The issue for New York is that they're not only dealing with newly arrived migrants, they're dealing with folks that have already been in New York City housing and are now being reticketed. So all of these folks already had free housing here in New York, and then they were given eviction notices, essentially 30 or 60-day notices telling them that they have to leave their shelter. But because this is a sanctuary city, housing is guaranteed. So if they wait in line, they can reapply and then be rehoused. And what you're seeing is this line which wraps around the corner, and it has been this long all day long. But the concern is that people are coming.
Unbelievable that we're putting up with this in England.
China
Our countries will never be the same again. Everything is only going to get worse. During a briefing, this is Mayor Adams of New York City, during a briefing, a reporter asked about some migrants committing crimes.
Do I believe that there are some migrants who are committing crimes in the city? Yes. Yes. There are people who are committing crimes in all walks of life. It's not just migrants and asylum seekers. I think...
But you know what? If you weren't a sanctuary city, if we didn't have open borders, we would have less crime. Yeah.
That we have a number of migrants who have committed crimes. We have a number of non-migrants who have committed crimes. And so I do not want to walk away with anyone saying that the GLA increase we saw in the city was just migrants. No, it's not. It was long-term New Yorkers who committed GLAs also. But are there some crimes that migrants have committed? Yes, there are.
Yeah. And guess what? They should be deported. Did you hear me? And we still listening to this.
It is shameful that a Republican governor, Governor Abbott in Texas, is using migrants as a political stunt. That's what he's been doing.
So you're
for
referring to the
years, and he
busing of
continues-
migrants to northern cities?
Absolutely. And the busing of migrants, the putting them on flights, it is shameful that is occurring. And instead of, if the governor really truly wants to deal with this issue, he should talk to the senators in his states. It is shameful that a Republican governor...
If he really truly wanted to do something, he should talk to other senators in his state. Now, I'm not for Abbott, and Abbott is absolutely part of these fabulous agendas that are taking down our country. Talk to senators in his state. State senators can do something about when governors actually do something, then you hear how they can't do anything. This is a federal issue. I'm so tired of listening to the same horseshit over and over and over. Ever since she has become press secretary, that's all she says. It's so tiring. Everything is just so tiring. But it allows the problem to continue. No resolution. Easy resolution. Enforce immigration law. It's easy. Simple. Americans have to demand enforcement of immigration law. Are they that flippin' stupid to think that year after year after year we hear the same political messaging? If the Republicans really wanted to do something, they would engage in thoughtful reform conversation. But it's the Republicans it's the Democrats who it's bringing us all down, destroying us. When you begin to feel the evil, when it touches your life, when you suffer the consequences, that's when you start to get, maybe I should have done something. But when you start going down, that's when you get, we've got to do something, and you get angry, and you get depressed, and you get despairing at how many people don't want to do anything. Yeah. The utter insanity of Joe Biden's open border. How many years are we going to just be, writing these articles There have been more than 8 million illegal entries into the United States since Biden was elected president. Yesterday, from a report that I read, it was 2.3 million. So there's a wide gap between the figures of these illegal migrants coming across the border. But when you look at just December, just this past December, 302,000 crossed the border, and that doesn't account for the gotaways. 302,000 just in December alone. I believe the number is that 2.3 million is greatly under the true number. There have been 8 million. He appoints Mayorkas as Secretary of Homeland Security, whose apparent prime directive was to destroy the southern border. Any American who can't see that now, when Mayorkas actually says the border is closed, and we see thousands coming through every day, Americans, are you that mind controlled that you probably think that you have intelligence and you can't see the deliberate destruction that is taking place on a daily basis? You can't see the obvious. That task is precisely what Mayorkas has now accomplished. The result is that the border is neither porous nor problematic, but non-existent, kaput, vanished, and by design. In one of the most surreal experiences in the history of the United States, each night Americans see video clips of thousands of foreign nationals crossing the border en masse, with complete impunity, as if the entire corpus of federal immigration law has been dynamited, and it has been dynamited. You know, and I would not have even known. I mean, I do see some clips from mainstream media, the internet, YouTube, but it's because the neighbor that I visit tells me that she watches the news in the morning, and she actually heard that an illegal migrant who was taking a back road was shot sometime in the early hours of this morning. Was shot in the leg and the arm. So, you know, yeah, this whole idea that we shouldn't have any feelings about what's going on, that, oh, anger is not appropriate, and don't have any fear, and yeah, ha. It's, just give that up and let people feel what they feel. And hopefully, then you can be a source of solace for them. Because you can't be when you're telling people not to have the feelings that they have. I feel greatly betrayed by an awful lot of Americans. Greatly betrayed by an awful lot of awake Americans. And here, the Veterans Affairs role in illegal immigrant health care has veterans groups and legislators up in arms. The Department of Veterans Affairs predicts the agency's case backlog will peak at 400,000 in 2024. but somehow the VA has resources for providing medical care for illegal immigrants since 2020. Okay. Well, immigrants who have not qualified for veterans benefits, clearly. In fiscal year 2022 alone, the VA spent $63.6 million in medical services for illegal immigrants. How did it get this bad? It got this bad by us not holding anybody accountable, by doing nothing, by letting a criminal organization parade around like they're actually politicians who care about who they represent. This is what you get from criminals. Illegal migrants became eligible for health insurance in California.
And in California, all illegal immigrants became eligible for health insurance under the state's program for low-income residents. Jeff Paul joins us live from Los Angeles with a look at this new law.
Yeah, Molly, well, starting today, California now becomes the first state to provide health insurance to all undocumented people of all ages. The state is now preparing to provide full coverage to roughly 700,000 individuals under the state's Medi-Cal system. Now, prior to today, health insurance was available to undocumented residents under the age of 26. But this new law now expands health care to any age. It's expected to cost the state $3.1 billion each year. California Governor Gavin Newsom has called the move a transformative step towards strengthening the healthcare system for all Californians. However, we should mention, as this program begins, it comes as California faces a record $68 billion budget deficit.
Californians, you really should be up in arms, like the legislators and the veterans. Yeah. Whoops. It's unbelievable what we are doing here. This was New Year's Eve in Brussels, Belgium. A magazine cover that is exploding across Europe. After massive sex attacks by refugees in Europe, a Polish magazine prints this cover. Wow. Well, for good reason. UK in England.
Can you leave me alone? Can you leave me? Excuse me? Can you help me, please? Can you leave me the fuck alone? Can you leave me the fuck alone? Back the fuck up. You just jumped across the tracks to come and chat to me. Go back to your stuff. What do you mean? Stay away from me, bro. No, I don't want to chat to you. Fuck off. Fuck off. I don't want to chat to you. I don't know you from anywhere. Fuck off.
I'll follow you though.
Go away. What is wrong with you?
I'll follow you though.
What is wrong with
if
you?
you act up, I'll follow you.
What is wrong with you?
Okay, let me say my part.
You've just jumped
Okay,
over
let me say my
tracks to
part
come-
then.
What's your part?
I don't know why you're acting like that,
Bro, go away. I don't want to know you.
No, let me know. Let me see
I
my
don't want to know you. Can you go away, please?
part.
Can you fuck
Cool, let me say my
off?
part then.
Fuck
Don't
off.
send it.
Fuck off. Go away.
Before I take your phone.
Go away.
Let me take your phone.
You're not gonna take my shit. Fuck off. Can you leave me alone?
Yeah. Italy. Paris. They're near the end. In London, there are around 500 mosques. There really are 500 mosques in London? Wow. But to provoke, they choose to pray in the street. Man. France, migrants have invented a new game.
On nous dans la tibacap, on nous dans là. Comment ça malade? Au nom de Dieu. Au nom de Dieu. On nous dans la tibacap, on nous dans là.
We're in trouble. We're in big, big trouble. Bordeaux, France, after their migrants destroyed it on New Year's Eve. And the small boat crisis. You know, I'm not even going to play this because talk. Let's just keep talking about all of these problems. That's what we do. We should be screaming that these people in positions of power actually represent us. But that entails individuals in the aggregate to reclaim their own power. But they don't. Maybe they just keep going on thinking everything's going to get better. Or they're waiting for their savior, whomever it is, to change things. It's Waiting for Godot. And if you don't know that play, it's on YouTube. The book is much, I'm listening to cows in the background. Reading it is much better. So here, okay, at the European Union, this anti-Semitic bullshit has to stop.
I am deeply concerned about my Irish colleague from the left group. Anti-Semitism is on the rise throughout Europe, and an elected official continues to spread anti-Semitic messages. Also, this is a war that started because of terrorism, a war between a democratic state and a terrorist group. But in your upside-down world, you are calling the democratic state the terrorists. and not even mentioning the atrocities committed by Hamas. This, my dear colleagues, is a clear example of the batshit crazy left that does not belong in any elected chamber, let alone this one.
You're calling Israel a democratic state. Well, let me tell you something, right? But democratic states don't behave like an apartheid state.
I am deeply concerned about.
Now, you always have to preface what you're going to say with, yes, there is real anti-Semitism. Criticizing the Zionist government in Israel is not anti-Semitism. Wanting a ceasefire is not anti-Semitism. Okay, being upset about a genocide that is taking place, that's not anti-Semitism. But you're going to hear from a member of the EU call all those people who are calling for what I just said batshit crazy.
I have a question for the people who are saying if they just kill all of Hamas, this will be over. If the Palestinians gave Hamas up, this would be over. This will be over as soon as they get rid of Hamas. I have a question for you. And hi, I'm Jewish. I analyze Israeli rhetoric where I can. I have a question. Of these two groups of people I'm about to describe, who do you think would be more likely if a terrorist walked up to that group? We'll have more people go, yeah, sure, I'll join. A group of people who have a job, a life, a house, wife and kids maybe. You know, they can go to the doctor when they need to. They definitely have food and water. Or a group of people whose neighborhood was just flattened. All the water they try to drink is contaminated with chemicals and bombs, dust. Their family is dead. They've been relocated to a refugee camp. They definitely don't have a job anymore. If someone walked up to those two groups of people and was like, we can fight this, even if they were super vague and didn't even say it was violence that they were going to do. We can fight this. We can stop this. Who do you think is more likely to join? Because I think it's the people who have nothing left to live for. I don't think anybody would look at me and say the first group would be more likely to join. And, oh, what's that? Studies, scientific studies showing that that's true. So showing that, NCBI, National Library of Medicine, Social Determinants of Health and Violent Radicalization. The Psychology of Terrorism Initiative saying that the creations of ethno-states and marginalizing certain ethnic groups will be more likely to radicalize those groups. So, wait, what's the cause of terrorism? Is it that those people are violent, terrible people who just want to hurt others the way they portray Hamas? Or is it that a bigger oppressing group pushed them and took away more and more of their rights and their liberties and their access to a normal life, pushed them until a couple of those people snap and lash out violently. And then they can turn around and say, oh my God, see, they're violent. They're terrible people. They need to be controlled. We need to keep them here. We can't let them have this. We can't let them leave. We need to make sure that they're away from us because they're all evil. When it was the violence that they did to them that pushed them to that point. Do you think Israel doesn't know this? I want you to think about it. Do you think that Israel doesn't have access to these studies? That Israel doesn't know what causes terrorism? That it's the lack of civil rights? Do you? I think they know. I think it goes hand in hand with them funding Hamas in the first place. I think they need a villain. Because it's a lot easier to justify keeping a group of people in a concentration camp if you say, well, there's some of those people are bad, we can't let them out, than it is if they were just living their lives. It's a lot easier to justify going in with soldiers and hurting them if you say some of them are bad, especially if you made some of them bad, which means that every time you go in and hurt them more of them snap because they have nothing else to turn to. Whose fault is that? Whose fault is that for doing the violence first? I also want you to think about the fact that even before this bombing, Gaza had rampant structural violence issues. Structural violence is something like, I'll just give you an example, like, we can't let you have this treatment from this hospital because you need this ID and these documents, but then it's almost impossible to get those ID and those documents, which means that it's not a person hurting you or killing you and doing the violence, it's the rules that are hurting people and killing people. In Gaza, before the bombing, people were rationing water because Israel didn't let them have enough water. The hospitals couldn't take everyone. Sometimes there's things that those hospitals couldn't treat, so they'd have to be on a wait list to get into an Israeli hospital, and they would die on those wait lists. That's structural violence. That's, well, the rules are you need to do this and this and wait and get into an Israeli hospital this way. You're going to die if you don't. That's structural violence. Everywhere in Gaza, in America too. You'll recognize that in the American healthcare system, absolutely. And it is violence. It hurts and kills people. That's violence. It's called structural violence for a reason. So I want you to think about that fact. I want you to think about the fact that Israel definitely knows that its actions of taking away their civil rights, of shoving them in this place, of making sure they don't have water and food, of making sure that everyone has a relative who's died because they couldn't get into a hospital and get medical care. They know that those people are more likely to snap. And once they snap, they hurt me. They hurt me. They did violence against me. I'm the victim here, when it was them who pushed them to do it. They know. Israel knows this because they need a villain. Think about it. Do you truly, honestly believe that carpet bombing all of Gaza without actually targeting any terrorist groups and making sure that civilians are feeling the worst of these effects, what do you think that's going to do? Don't you think that if Israel can keep saying, oh, but Hamas is in there, they can keep bombing it until they get all of it, until they take all the land they wanted to begin with? Don't you think so? Because to me, that seems like a very convenient excuse. We push these people, we are violent to them until they're violent back to us. And once they're violent back to us, we keep just hurting them so that more of them keep snapping and being violent to us, so we can keep saying, see, they're bad, and we can just keep hurting them. Whose fault is that? Do you think that if someone said we can change this, without saying that it was going to be bombs or rockets, just we can change this, would you not join them? Not every single one of those people is literally firing rockets. If all your family was dead, think about it. Just think about it. Israel knows what it's doing. It wants its villain. It needs to be the victim. And please call your representatives. Please, what's happening is more and more horrific by the day. And don't look away.
Yeah. Well, there's an awful lot of Jews and non-Jews who see right through all of the propaganda, all of the hate that is taking place. I got this picture that I decided to put a caption on, which is not coming up. There it is. Yes, hate is learned. Please unlearn it fast. But I got this picture from a subscriber whom I'd like to thank. It is all learned. And boy, do we need to unlearn it fast. Really fast. And those who are still maintaining, their hatred for an entire people, they have a sickness in their brain that they need to heal. Israel just bombed Beirut for the first time in 4 years. And also apparently got residential. It's a residential area in Beirut. This is a war crime. So the war is expanding. It's expanding. Now assassinating political leaders in Lebanon. See, none of this bodes well for the victims, but it does not bode well for the Israelis, the ordinary Israelis and Jews who live in Israel and all over the world. Iran's official statement on the Yemeni Houthi attack by the US and UK. The Israeli regime cannot be allowed to commit massacres of women and children, and they are. I don't know if you go on Twitter, but it is horrific. Horrific to see all of what is taking place, especially all of the children who are being killed. Commit massacres of women and children and genocide in Gaza and set the region on fire while the stopping of a Zionist ship in the Red Sea is seen as endangering the security of this economic waterway. Seems a little disproportionate. And it's only escalating. 42 Nova concert victims file a lawsuit against the Israeli army, police, and Shin Bet over the October 7 incident. The victims' lawsuit includes accusations of negligence and failure to prevent the concert from taking place despite warnings about a serious security incident. And they had the warnings, and they allowed the concert to just go on as if nothing was happening. Unlearning Zionism can be very healthy for both your mental health and skin. Your skin.
I've said this before, but I grew up in a very Zionist community, and I get nervous to wear my kufiya sometimes because I'm like worried that like someone's gonna be super annoying and confront me and be, just super negative. But I was picking up breakfast and a Palestinian woman approached me and she said that she liked my kufiya, and I told her like I got it years ago from a friend who lived in the West Bank. And she was like, oh, I'm from the West Bank. And it was just like such a simple, small interaction, but like it makes a difference. Like it's such a small gesture. It's like one of the smallest, simplest things that you can do to show solidarity with Palestinians. And people might think like it doesn't make a difference, but it does. When I say Zionist community, I mean that there's multiple synagogues around here. In this very plaza, there's like multiple Israeli shops. But it like really almost made me cry because I was just so happy that it was a positive interaction. Happy New Year and free Palestine. I've said this before.
Yeah. And I think what's happening is that an awful lot of people are just getting so hardened to the cruelty that these very small interactions that are good interactions can bring people to tears now because it's becoming so rare. And that says a lot about what's going on. And apparently the IDF, they're putting up these TikTok videos that are so disgusting of them making a latte, of, all of what I had is because my computer went down today, and, 2 IDF soldiers laying in the bed, a Palestinian child's bed with the cover over them, smiling. That's just setting up a whole lot for Jews and Israelis to get a backlash from. Do I think that anybody is deserving of a backlash from what somebody else does? No. But I know how a whole lot of people operate. How is the IDF allowed to post these TikTok videos that are truly showing how psychopathic they are? There's a reason. They want the world against the United States and Israel. Remember this. It was in response to the fact young Americans support Palestinians. It seems to me that young Americans need another 9/11. So, young Americans, I'm not a young American. I'm with them. Calling for a ceasefire. And for some reason, people think that they're terrorists. What has gone on? I swear to you, I really do think that an awful lot of this is due to mind control. That people are gone. They've lost their humanity. They're just gone. Breaking, Malaysia endorses South Africa's application before the International Court of Justice against Israel for committing genocide in Gaza. Okay. Well, the United States pretty much controls the International Court of Justice. So, Turkey arrests 34 suspected Mossad spies over abduction plot aimed at Hamas leaders. These leaders alleged to have they were plotting attacks on foreigners in Turkey, namely Hamas operatives. And the killing goes on in Russia and Ukraine. Russia pounds Kiev with 100 missiles as air war escalates in deadly tit-for-tat. Yay, tit-for-tat. Destroy people's lives. I'm not liking this world that we have. I'm really not liking it. But I'm going to put in my... No, this is not promoting my Twitter account, but just to say, you can click on this link, you can bookmark it, and I do post or repost quite a bit to let you know that we are not okay. Every single one was on Epstein's flight logs. I don't know if this is true. Have they released them yet? Because I saw a tweet from somebody that tweeted just this afternoon asking why they were delaying the release of the Epstein logs. But I have no doubt that all of these people were on Lolita Express. We have very, 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 and unfortunately, it's huge, the numbers of people who are flat out evil, sick, psychopathic, narcissistic, no moral core whatsoever. Hate is learned, so please unlearn it fast. Displaced civilians. Long lines just to get water in Gaza. Just to get water. Hi, are you coming in? It's Bookend. Bookend, who apparently has a mother. Are you coming in? You just meowed. I don't know. So, oh boy. Very, very difficult. Come on in. world children, Gaza children. You know, it's so funny because things that people have said to me over the years come crashing back. And I think to myself, I lost pretty much everything. I mean, and then you hear people, well, you should be grateful you have a car. You should be grateful for a roof over your head. I've lost everything. But I was told that I have to work on my gratitude from some subscriber who had lost nothing. Nothing. Still with her German Shepherd, still with her home, still with her husband, still with her family, still in her familiar setting, still, everything. That I had to work on my gratitude. All of you who still have, for whatever you're having to deal with that hurts and brings pain, and I would never say, well, you should work on your gratitude. But considering what is taking place and how many people are being taken out, how many lives are being destroyed, if you're still among those who are still fine, comfortable, grateful or not, I really want to believe that you're helping other people who are not. Because you have the resources.
صب لنا احلى كاسة شاي من ايديك. الله يسعد لها الصباح الحلو يا رب. مين بيعمل الشاي اللي بتعمله؟
لا ابويا.
ابوك؟ كيف بتعمله؟
على النار.
على النار؟ الله يعطيك العافية ويسعد صباحك يا رب.
Selling tea in Gaza to help to make a living and support his family. An old man bathes in Gaza.
حج ايش بتعمل هان؟ والله بستحمى يا حج. طب ليش ما بتستحماش مثلا في بيتك في مكان؟ والله انا في عندي في الخيمه مكان او متسع للاستحمام وعدم توافر المياه ومواد التنظيف في المنزل فاضطريت انا اجي على البحر رغم البرد القارس فانا مضطر اني اتحمم لاني لي شهرين ما اتحممت ولا ازلت حتى الغبره عن جسمي فانا مضطر رغم هذا البرد القارس اني اتحمم في البحر. هذا شيء اكيد. طيب تمام ايش رسالتك؟
Man, oh man.
هذا البحر بحرنا وهذه هي حدودنا مع العالم مفتوحه امامكم ان كنتم رجال ارسلوا لنا المعونات الانسانيه عن طريق هذا البحر لان هذا هو منفذنا الى العالم هذه هي حدودنا وهذه منفذنا الى العالم اما ان ارسلت لنا المساعدات عن طريق كرم ابو سالم فهذا يعني انكم تتعاونوا مع الاحتلال على ذبحنا وكل العالم يشهد هذه المعوقات الموجوده على كرم ابو سالم حتى يزيد المأساة مأساة فنحن لنا حدود واتصالنا مع العالم من هذا البحر الذي تشاهدونه الآن ارسلوا لنا المغادرة.
And I'm going to end with this. This is pretty scary. It's an interview with migrants. If we want European civilization to survive, we need to not just close the borders, but start mass expulsions immediately.
Enjoying it, you know, even though she isn't, but it's like she's enjoying it.
Do you think it's right? Do you think it's right to rape?
Yeah, it's wrong. Yeah, it's wrong.
What about the consequences of what you're doing in terms of how that affects the person that's raped?
Yeah, the consequences, we look at that all the time, you know, because it happens, she might scream, you know, people might wake up. A lot of people, especially.
I'm not just talking about, I'm talking about the emotional effect, the physical effect it has on the girl.
Yeah. Sometimes we know that we might rape her and wake up tomorrow with viruses ourselves, like HIV, you know.
What about regretting what you've done to the girl?
I also do regret about it, because if she fell pregnant, what will be that baby's father? Who will be that baby's father?
But what about her personal feelings?
So, this is what we're dealing with. Yeah. The madness has been going on for a very, very long time. The migrant situation, a whole lot of us have been posting. No one did anything. So, be safe out there. Be safe. We do need to bring our best self to life every single day. We need to be aware of our surroundings and our own self. Most important, awareness, self-awareness, when we're out and about. Nothing is going to get better. Everything's going to get a whole lot worse. And if you're one of those who have become hardened to all of what is taking place, to the suffering. Now, you know, when people used to say, we might have global issues, but the answer is local, that means you get involved in your community, help those who are suffering. That is within your control. 100%. And we do need to step up our game. What are you doing here? Meow. Meow. Say hello. Say hello. So yeah, if you've become hardened to it and don't care about what's going on, you probably were that person throughout your life, but now the times that try good men's hearts, there are things that people can do. So, the most important is to speak honestly and live honestly. Trust is necessary, vital. You cannot have a healthy relationship without living and speaking honestly. That establishes trust. The foundation of every healthy relationship, healthy societies. And we bottomed out on that. So, on that note, I say thank you for showing up. Hope to see you tomorrow. Marty Lauderdale, thank you. Cynthia Johnston, thank you very, very much. And there goes little one. Okay, good night and good luck. Ciao, guys.